Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. This show is being recorded on Saturday, the 29th of November, 2025, and then posted to our YouTube channel on Sunday, November 30th, 2025. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time. If you're my guides, angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history, so for entertainment purposes only. Also, if you just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, all those things really help the channel. And last but not least, if you're wondering how we get questions for these shows, we put out a request for questions on Mondays on our YouTube channel under the post section. And my wife then goes through them, comes up with a representative sample of all the questions. And then today, I think we have something like 60 questions in the countdown. Also, one housekeeping item for those that want to be engaged and involved in the live streams that I do on Friday mornings, Pacific time zone, answer a plethora of people's personal questions. It also gives you access to hundreds of videos in our archive, including instructional videos. You can join our Platinum membership, and the join button is on the front page of our website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium. So on that note, let's get going on today's show, our countdown. Starting off with item or question number 60, somebody asked if Robert Redford had anything he wanted to share. I brought him through this morning, very brief, kind message, but I wrote down here what he had to say, and I'm going to kind of read that back to you kind of word for word here. Does Robert Redford have anything he wants to share? Just a very simple message to share with everyone. Remember, you cannot legislate kindness. Make sure as you elect individuals in government that they are more focused on others and humanity than themselves. During my career, I tried to give insights into the human condition. Love, kindness, sorrow, hate, anger, regret, loss, and understanding are all part of the human condition. To those that I work with in the industry, please keep on keeping on. To friends, family, and very close colleagues, thank you for all of the love and generosity you shared with me during my life. I am eternally grateful. Now a message for everyone, go out there and take action. So very purposeful message coming through from him, very wonderful soul, really nice spending a little bit of time with him this morning. So going on to question 59 in the countdown. Rumors are that many Republican members of Congress are going to follow MTG and resign before their term ends. Is this actually going to happen? And will it be enough to change who is in control of the House? Absolutely, yes. Already started. In fact, when we did a show, it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, my team had forecast a member of Congress was going to resign. Of course, it was, MTG in the House. But looks like it's going to flip. Even before we get to the midterms here, the balance of power is going to shift here. 58, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is threatening to recall Senator Mark Kelly to active duty, right, and then court-martial him for an ad saying military must obey their oath to the Constitution and not follow illegal orders. Will this happen? Will it be successful? I don't see them actually recalling Mark Kelly to active duty, and I do not see a court-martial coming through. Looks like it's a lot of rhetoric going back and forth. They may try something. Doesn't look like it's ever going to go through and actually translate into an actual court-martial or recalling to active duty. 57, will Social Security and Medicare be improved and still be there for future generations of seniors? I do see it's going to be available in one form or another. And this person's asking about Social Security and Medicare. Social Security is going to be around for like another 50 years at least. And then something else is going to come in. Medicare, in principle, will be around for like another decade or two. Then it may change name or change format. So these programs will generally be there and then be replaced by programs that are still helpful, like doing the same thing, a little bit of a restructuring. So the answer fundamentally is yes, these programs will still be around for future generations. 56, will the full transcript or the actual call between MBS and 45 about the killing of journalist Khashoggi be released? Yes, but not until early 2026. 55. What will happen with the order to review all refugees from Burma that were allowed in during the Biden administration? They were victims of genocide as determined and announced in 2022. Going back for them would mean certain death for those families. I see a review of a lot of refugees coming in, not just those from Burma, like a lot of re-interviewing and a review, but I don't see it resulting in then a transfer, in this case, of refugees from Burma being forced to go back. But I do see like a big sweep here of a lot of refugees that came in under the Biden administration having to go through reevaluation, re-interviews. See a lot of that going on. And then it's like understanding what the statutory definition of a refugee is. So like it's all this re-interviewing and reevaluation as part of that process. 54, the case in Georgia, the RICO case that was brought about election interference and racketeering was just dropped. Will it be revived at some point in time? I do see the case is going to get restarted out until late 2026, and it's going to come under a different prosecutor. So it looks like we get restarted. Whatever's going on here in the legal process, it's going to get restarted by a different prosecutor. 53. Lately, I've been fooled by several deep fake celebrity AI generated videos. Will we ever be able to distinguish the fake videos from the real videos? Will laws go into place to regulate the deep fake videos? Yes, so within about 2 years here, there's going to be very effective AI tools that will be able to evaluate videos that were AI created. So the very tool used to create them will actually be used to evaluate them and determine what's real or fake. And we'll do that through a number of things, image analysis, as well as analyzing code, analyzing things that were said in the press and the real media. So AI tools within 2 years here. I also see within that same 2 year period, there'll be new legislation involving here that will more firmly vet out videos, vet them before they're released on a lot of platforms. So new tools are coming. That's true. 52, does the longevity of our parents have anything to do with our lifespan, or is it determined by our life plan blueprint, which we selected before reincarnating? It's all determined by your life path blueprint. With the one caveat here that if your family, for example, remember we're related to soul families that come down here. Let's say that maybe on their blueprint, they decide they wanted to lead in cancer research. They might have put that in the life path, but it's related uniquely to your life path blueprint plan that you selected, not directly related to your parents in this question here. 51, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is under attack and being dismantled like other federal agencies. Will the agency survive? I don't see it's going to survive in its current incarnation. It looks like within a few months it'll be disbanded or shut down or shuttered, and then reinvented as you get out until late 2026, even early 2027, under kind of a new moniker, like a new name. Principally, will have some of the same functions, but will end up getting reinvented. So it looks like it'll be shut down over the next few months here under, is it Russ Voigt, the new head there? Something like that. Yeah, and then they'll get reinvented on kind of a different name late in 2026 into early 2027. 50, is it actually possible for a walk-in soul or a negative spiritual energy to take over when someone dies and is resuscitated? My friend is convinced that when her husband passed and was revived, a negative presence came back, not him. No, it's not possible for a full soul a replacement or a full soul walk-in. I know many people talk about this all the time. I talked about this in the millions of entities I discussed with on the other side. Soul replacement doesn't happen in its full extent. That is the complete soul replaced by another complete new soul. Sometimes you have stand-ins. There's people, souls can stand very, very close. In this case, for the person asked this question, I do not see that a new soul came in. This has some sort of a medical explanation here, not a doctor, but has something to do with like lack of oxygen to the brain or something going on. So there's a human medical artifact going on here. But actual complete soul replacement, soul walk-in does not take place. It does not occur. 49. Hello, Sterling. Thank you for taking our questions. I am a widow of a police officer and understand very well the importance of having the canine in crucial situations. Sadly, many are killed protecting, saving the life of their partner. So, is there anything new in body armor being made that is not overly heavy and cumbersome for dogs that will often even offer more protection? I do see there's a new advancement in body armor coming out of Europe within 3 years. Now, I know some body armor uses Kevlar, not an expert in this, but looks like there's some development here coming out of Europe within 3 years that'll be used for a lot of body armor for a lot of canines. So, big advancement here coming in that area. 48. What happens to someone's soul when they are in a coma? For the most part, they stand by. So remember, souls can detach from a body. That's part of what astral travel is about. Many times as a footnote before someone passes, sometimes 3 days before the physical body gives up, they might start to move out. Your birth angel offers you that. But many times, if somebody's in a coma, they can stand to one side. They can actually separate their soul from their body and stand by and watch what's going on in the room. So the soul is still somewhat active, even though the body's in a coma. But they still have that curiosity, if you will. So a lot of times they're in a coma, they'll step outside the body and look around who's in the hallway of the hospital. Or in more extreme circumstances, if they're getting near like an NDE experience, they may start greeting a birth angel and having a discussion in that area. So they're never really inactive, even though you're in a coma. 47, will Doge be investigated after this administration is gone? And will any money that was stolen be recovered? I don't see a lot of the money being recovered. I do see new legislation coming up within about a 2 year period here that kind of puts more firm controls over government agencies, what kind of information can be released, how they're structured, preventing people with not experienced or not qualified coming in and restructuring an agency. New legislation coming up, but I don't see like the money per se being recovered. That kind of went into the big, I'm going to call it the washing machine in the sky. It's gone. 46. This week, X changed the location transparency settings, allowing followers on an account to see the foreign country of origin for many large-scale MAGA accounts. This action by X actually exposed bots tweeting fake news across millions of accounts, which millions have followed on the far right, believing it was all genuine information. It was exposed for one day and quickly shut off. Was this EM's doing? Was it Russia or someone else? And what was the purpose? I see their systems were momentarily hacked, not by EM, but by offshore sources trying to expose what's going on for like the betterment of populations or humanity. It's like trying to open up the door and say, here's what's going on. So don't see this was Russia involved here, but it was another offshore like intelligence group that created this hacking. Okay. 45 in the countdown here. Will MTG inform authorities and government agencies regarding the 2024 election interference after she leaves Congress in January? To some extent, and let me be clear here, she does not have all of the crucial infrastructure information about what went on during that 2024 election, the entire electronic election interference. She has some knowledge, but it's somewhat limited as to how it was executed. So she'll share some knowledge, but most information is going to come from offshore entities here that have already investigated this. And this is all part of the AIM strategy, right? The analysis, investigation, movement, military, separation strategy we talk about all the time. Case of MTG, though, I'm getting she does not have all the really critical infrastructure information to talk about how it was all executed. 44, if an entity reincarnates, does that keep you from communicating with them as you knew them? I guess. If an individual reincarnates, let's just say they reincarnate, there's what are called relay points in heaven in that dimension. They work almost like bouncing satellite dishes, so you can actually still cross-communicate with individuals that reincarnate. However, most human beings, most Homo sapiens sapiens, do not reincarnate any faster than 80 to 100 in terms of Earth years. In the special case where there are large soul groups that pass together, large earthquakes, Holocaust, large airline accidents, 9/11, a lot of those soul groups come back much faster. But notwithstanding, you're asking, do they come back communicating as you knew them? Yeah. So the other question is, no. Yeah. So when you have a relay point, you're communicating with them as you knew them at that point, even though they've gone on to take like another body. Remember, their soul is really the designated communicator in this case. So soul has the complete DNA or soul DNA. They communicate the way they were, the way you knew them in this case, especially if they came back very quickly. 43, Smart Elections just announced that their court case in Rockland County, New York was dismissed. Does this set back the timeline for truth being revealed? Does this impact the AIM strategy? No long-term effect on the AIM strategy. Remember, everything is in the Akashic records, and the Akashic records breathes, and it's in a nonlinear time dimension, and free will effects, right? Speed, scope, and scale of everything that happens. So the Rockland County case, it's coming back around again. I feel like I'm getting now from my team, there's some other new construct to this case. So it may not be the exact same case, but some other new angle coming for it. So I don't feel that the Smart Elections organization has given up. Looks like they're coming back around again and going to try another bite at the apple, so to speak. That's kind of a euphemism because New York, right, by the apple, is kind of interesting. But it's actually going to still move forward. You won't know it right now. That's going to come back around again. These are all stepping stones in the process. 42, hello Sterling. I've heard you and your guides indicate that 3I Atlas is a comet. Is there a symbolic, energetic, and or astrological meaning behind the arrival of this interstellar object? If yes, so what can we expect on the 19th of December when it will pass closest to the Earth? No direct overriding correlation to astrological events, spiritual event. This is a comet. It is a natural phenomenon. It is not, they're not ETs related to it. Nothing astrological, nothing happening special on December 19th. So yeah, I know this question comes up a lot, but no special message, astrological event, nothing of that nature related to 3I Atlas. 41, Russell Voigt, Director of Budget and Administration and Management, said in a recent video that the Phase 2 agenda of Project 2025 will not be published as Phase 1 was and is intended to accelerate authoritarianism in the U.S. Will the Phase 2 of Project 2025 be implemented? I get Phase 2 is already published. So first of all, we put that out there. It's already published. But in terms of like moving through to complete authoritarianism or dictatorship, a ruler, a king, no. So it'll not be, it's already out there, the information is published, but the execution information will not come to pass, not see a dictatorship. Now, some would argue we already have a dictatorship going on right now in the US. There's a lot of truth in what's going on here. But in terms of long-term rollout of authoritarianism in the US, no. But Phase 2 has already been published. 40. By the way, I'm just getting, it was published like way back, it was the original 900-page document was published. 40. Will EM lose his U.S. government contracts after the 2028 elections? No, he will not. And I see a lot of the large contracts, like involving SpaceX, will still continue. 39. How soon will we have a cure for bladder cancer? You know, this is on the horizon for a number of cancer cures that are being genetically engineered right now. You've already seen pancreatic cancer, like CRISPR and genetic engineering. By 2035, you're going to see very strong prominence of medications, vaccines, genetically engineered that will help with bladder cancer as well. Looks like 2035 will be a big tipping point for a lot of cancers here using CRISPR genetic engineering. So that's the answer to this question here. 38, the documentary Age of Disclosure about government cover-up of legacy programs, UAPs, and reverse engineered of ET technology has recently been released. Will 45 come out with disclosure information? No, 45 will not be involved in the disclosure of information on extraterrestrials as being executed very carefully. And this is not the individual that's going to be spearheading the information. Not a lot of information not even shared with 45. Yeah. The technology, as a footnote, the claims of reverse engineered technology, this is going on for hundreds of years now. Actually, a lot of reverse engineer of extraterrestrial UAP technology has been going on for a long time. So that's true from this documentary here. I think that's part of the question here. But 45 will not be the one that releases it. 37, the Ohio House of Representatives passed the Charlie Kirk American Heritage Act to teach the positive influence of religion, specifically Christianity, in public school history classes. Do you see this taking place long term? What I get is that in many cases, teachers will be allowed to teach this, though not being forced on them. So it opens up a gateway of allowing people to allowing teachers to teach it. But I don't see this like long term being forcibly rammed down the education process. Certainly in some areas of the country, for example, it will be. But I just see this as like it opens up an option, but there are enough, let's say, shrewd individuals, teachers that may include it as part of a lesson plan against a whole backdrop of a much larger scope of humanity and religion and understanding it from a much larger perspective, utilizing critical thinking skills. 36. Are there such things as spirit animals? If so, are they one of our guides? How do you find out what your spirit animal is? So in all cases, spirit animals are guides, and they actually show themselves as an animal. Many times people feel more comfortable. If you look across, the history of society and humanity, many times individuals are more comfortable with dealing with a spirit animal. But that's your guide. That's actually one or more of your guides. We all have several birth angels, several guides, but they'll show themselves as a guide. So there's no one spiritual animal. Many times it's what makes you feel comfortable. So, for example, if a wolf or a bear or an eagle, for somehow symbolically resonates with you, the guide will show themselves as that animal. But as soon as you kind of open up your communication skills, your clairaudience side, you realize it's your guide team, not specifically an animal or a spirit animal. 35. Recently, thousands of protesters marched in D.C. demanding the removal of 45, chanting, impeach, convict, remove. Will this movement gain traction and help accelerate removal? Well, it's all part of a massive effort that is actually like another nail in the coffin, so to speak, use a term. So it's helpful, but it's one of like, believe it or not, thousands of things going on here real time that are all moving humanity towards a safer way of dealing with government and legislation. And yes, so then all this collectively will move towards the removal of 45. 34. Currently, tensions are rising between China and Japan over Taiwan, over Japan's new prime minister recent comments relative to automatically defending Taiwan against any attacks from China. Do you see China attacking Taiwan in the near future? I see many aggressive acts by China against Taiwan, but nothing that evolves into a full-scale war. China, I'm not seeing that they want a large-scale war with Japan, the U.S., other countries. So a lot of aggressive acts around the waters, missile fires. I'm not seeing it devolves into a large-scale war. Okay. 33. Hello, Sterling. I was told years ago that you feel a special kind of heat when spirits are around you. Is this true? So the size of the team and the energy of the spiritual team determines what you feel. So, for example, a very large scale team of very highly evolved angels and guides will give you more of a hot flash. Sometimes if it's a smaller team around you that may be less evolved, and I don't mean that in a bad way, you might get a cold chill, a very responsive cold chill. But if a large team comes around you, very highly energetic individuals, you may feel like a hot flash, or get very hot. So it really depends characteristically on the size of the team coming in around you and their energetic development, where they are in kind of spiritual latitude, if you will. 32, hello, Sterling and team. I'm really worried about Ukraine, how this current U.S. administration seems to side with Russia and their leader. Will Europe really step up to be more involved with so-called peace plan that's being currently prepared for Ukraine? I do see that a lot of world countries, and they're asking about Europe here. Europe will be very involved, along with the U.S., other countries, uh, the Qatari government as well. But yes, Europe will be involved. Remember, when this all gets done, my team has been saying now for a couple of years that 8% of the territory of Ukraine will secede over to Russia. So there's something about a percentage here, and they keep telling me 8%. So that's still part of the equation here. 31, George Conway, former husband of Kellyanne Conway, confirmed to Mark Elias recently that he's seriously thinking of running for Congress. Do you see a successful campaign and a win for him? It does appear he's going to jump into the New York congressional race. I don't see a win there. For some reason, I don't see a win, but I do see him jumping into the race, making a really good run at it, a really good run at it. It's going to be a very close election. Yeah. Uh, Actually, you know what they're telling me? It's so close that he's going to win. Isn't that interesting? So it looked like a real horse race, so to speak. Um, Looks like it could be successful. Okay. 30. Will 45 flee to the Middle East before significant calls for his removal or soon after his own party decides to remove him? So, in effect, this is all going to take time. This is all going to happen around the same timing. I know like 5 years ago now, my team had forecasted 45 would eventually flee to the Middle East under the guise of a business trip, could be a golf event, a leave golf event, and then not come back. So, the fleeing or the movement to the Middle East is under the guise of a business trip, leave golf event, and it'll all happen simultaneously. That the party, no support from the party, believes that the walls are closing in on them, and that's what creates that movement to the Middle East. 29. Is there a way to make our personal angel team really significantly happy and proud of the person they are protecting and guiding? Yes, in effect, always stand in your truth. Make sure you're always standing in your truth, regardless of what's going on around you. That's the way they maintain the greatest level of pride and love and connection. Whenever you stand in love and your personal truth, that's when you're in complete alignment with your angelic team. 28. Do you think enough Republicans will just resign so control moves to Democrats so they can start impeachment? I do see a significant shift in control of the House and the Senate, that's the Congress overall, with resignations coming up. I do see impeachment starting. For me, it all looks like it's all going to happen around the same time, all in parallel. So the best way, a lot of this will move out into 2026 right at this point, but it looks like it all happens on the same time. The fleeing and impeachment, calls of treason. There's a lot going on here. But all happens almost like overlay. It's almost all on top of each other in parallel. 27, deforestation in Indonesia is taking place at a rapid pace due to cultivation of large-scale palm oil and paper products production. Will the current government officials be held accountable for a lack of effort before all the forests are gone? I do see they're going to take more aggressive action, but not until like for another year here. So that puts you way out into 2026. Government is going to protect palm oil production and yeah, there's something going on here with this. The government gets much more involved, but I don't know why there's like a 1 year lag or a 1 year delay before this happens. But it looks like that will start to curtail some of the palm oil or paper product productions and put it in a scale so that what deforestation isn't move ahead. Looks like the government is very attuned, or maybe not as completely attuned as they need to be. Within a year, they are. So there's kind of a roll up to this, but looks like they'll actually do the right thing here. 26, will we have any high Richter scale earthquakes coming up soon in the Caribbean islands region? Yes, in 2026, there's going to be a couple of level six and level seven Richter scale earthquakes. I get there was already like a six level earthquake already in 2025, so this is not highly unusual. There's a lot of tectonic plate shift going on out in the oceans. Yeah, around like the Atlantic Ocean area or something here. Yeah, this is actually ongoing, so there will be some six and seven Richter scale like there were in 2025 here. 25. I work in the skincare industry and often wonder if genetic engineering will make dermatology and those types of processes obsolete. What future do you see for skincare? So, within 20 years, what about 2 decades here? A lot of skincare will be primarily focused on what happens internally. So, it's like driving skincare from the inside out rather than like the outside in, if that makes sense. So, genetically engineered products, things that are really going to help the body recover collagen or whatnot's going on here. But so within about a 2 decade horizon here, it's going to shift. Now, a lot of people will start shifting their practice as new what I call medications and procedures come online here that help with skincare, but from the inside out. So kind of a little different approach in that industry. 24. Hello, Sterling. Dr. Kevin, is it Pauza or Pauza? Has developed a treatment called disc seal for herniated or degenerated intervertebral, okay, disc using fibrin, which is a biologic that helps with clotting and wound healing. Is this a viable treatment for herniated disc? If so, is the start of non-invasive treatment for degenerative disc disease and disorders? Not a doctor here, but I see that whatever's going on here is a start to like non-invasive treatment. So something good going on here. It's not a panacea, but there's like more non-invasive treatments coming up here. But like it sets the groundwork here for some reason. There's something good there that helps set the groundwork and thinking and methodology in this area. Yeah, so there's more non-invasive treatments coming. It looks like it accelerates over the next few years here, so it won't take that long. It takes a number of years here. That means 2, 3 years, 4 years kind of thing. Yeah, coming up. 23, on the topic of lab grown meat, what happens to a country like New Zealand that primarily exports meat and dairy milk products? Additionally, what happens to all the animals there if they are not required? I do see that New Zealand will kind of shift what they focus on, maybe more to marine life, exporting fish products and I don't know, wood products, something of that nature. So it's going to shift economically what's going on in New Zealand. You're right, animals won't be killed as much. Um, as we get out another decade, a lot of lab grown and laboratory produced products and even milk products and meat products will be, lab based. Looks like New Zealand, I'm just getting, moving over toward marine life, fisheries, fish exports, and more wood. Oh, and also in green technology. So they'll bring on new kinds of technology, like maybe solar panel manufacturing or green technology is going to start being kind of replace what was going on with the meat and the dairy products. 22, hello Sterling. You have discussed reincarnation. I was wondering when a person reincarnates, do they have the same personality? No, not necessarily, right? It's all based on the lessons you came in to experience. So, for example, you came in with, let's say, a very meek, shy personality, and part of your lesson plan on Earth was how to kind of come out of your shell, so to speak. You're going to come in with that kind of personality. If, in fact, you came down to maybe lead very large organizations or take a place in government, they're going to come down with a different kind of a personality. So it's all related. You don't always have the same personality. That's very much tied to like the punch list of what you desire for your traits when you come down. 21, are octopus ET based? And if so, where are they from? So all animals, especially octopus, are planted here by extraterrestrial groups. Octopus are off planet. They predated a lot of life that was here, including like dinosaurs. So They've been around for a very long time. So you look at like millions of years, maybe 330 million years ago, octopus were put here on Earth. So you mean, but everything comes from a star galaxy is put here by ETs. And I think that was most of the question here. Where are they from? Where are they from? Octopus are from all different star galaxies, not just one. That life form, you look at the different types of species here, they come from all different star galaxies, not just one. 20. I've noticed within the last 5 years or so, there have been a lot of people diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Will genetic engineering or CRISPR technology give us a cure or an advancement of knowledge in this area? It's actually already started out. So right now, I see there's a lot of research universities already doing research in this area. That's one of what I'll call the low-hanging fruit. Cardiology research, cardiac congestive heart failure. That is definitely within the decade range here because all these advancements for around CRISPR genetic engineering by 2035. But cardiology, cardiac engineering, that's all what I call low-hanging fruit. That's coming up very, very quickly in terms of, within the decade by 2035. Yeah. By the way, I just reminded, I'm getting like a lot of research universities are already been funded by various groups in this area. So a lot of advancement around research universities already being funded. And some of this funding is coming from independent sources, not just the government. 19, Time Magazine just announced that MTG will be running for president in 2028. Is this true? And if so, will she be successful? I don't see that this is confirmed. Actually, I see that maybe she denied it. I'm getting like a denial here. So I'm not seeing that that's even a real statement per se, but I don't see success in a run for president, nor do I see that she's even confirming she's going to do it. 18, a recent ruling in Canada's BC Supreme Court gave is it the Cowichan tribe, Cowichan tribe, ownership of a large chunk of land in Richmond, BC. The city of Richmond, with a few of the landowners, are appealing this decision. It may take a year or so, but are you able to see the outcome? Will the appeal overturn the ruling, or will the tribe win and own the land? I see this ruling is going to stand for the tribe and give them fishing rights or whatever this is. But whatever this region is, maybe there's access to water in this region. They're going to keep those rights. Looks like the ruling's going to stand, is what I'm being told. 17, in Puerto Rico, we are seeing a huge amount of military movement for the past 2 weeks. There have been numerous sightings of extraterrestrial activity that seem to be related to observing military aircraft and ships in the area. Are they concerned about possible military action in the area? And this person's talking about Puerto Rico. Yes, this is all related to the buildup or concerns around Venezuela, right? So yes, there's several ET groups monitoring the situation, making sure they'll get completely out of control. And out of control, remember, extraterrestrials can never stand in the way of the lessons humanity needs to learn. They completely stand in the way of annihilation of humanity. They'll stop that. So, but yeah, that's why there's a lot of activity there. This is related to the buildup around Venezuela. 16, hello Sterling. I've had people come up and tell me their woes or come up to touch me as a way to make themselves feel better about who they are or what life path they wish to be going on in this world. I have people who come up and randomly ask me for advice. I have a suspicion as to why, but I appreciate any insight you may have in this area. This is very characteristic of a teacher healer life path and a very old soul. Old souls are up towards 100 reincarnations or more. When you're a teacher healer on the planet, it's very common for individuals to come up and tell you their life story. Very common. So I'm 100% certain whoever asked this question, you are an old soul, you are a teacher healer. Congratulations. 15, do you see any new technology coming up that will take the place of knee replacement surgery? My doctor tells me that Germany has come up with an artificial cartilage, but they have not figured out how to use it yet or apply it. What do you see happening with this particular technology or any other way that knee replacement surgery will not be required? And when will this be integrated into the U.S.? Germany is definitely a leader in this area I'm getting, but it's about 5 year time span here. And it looks like within 5 years, I'm getting 50% of like knee replacement surgery, maybe stop, prevented, or put on hold. So nearly half. So like 5 and 50. So within 5 years, about 50% here. But looks like a lot of good technology coming out of Germany in this area. For some reason, there's a real focus here and good results here. 14. Hello, Sterling. Will 45's plans to sell F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia go through, or do you see obstacles preventing it? I see it's actually going to go through. It's going to go through because of a big push by military contractors or other groups that are going to benefit from this, claiming to save jobs or whatever this is here. So looks like it's going to go through. It's going to push through, but I just see it's like these military contractors, vendors, whatever this is, are really pushing it hard to make sure it stays on the table and goes through. Yeah. 13, I just watched an interesting true crime show about a girl that has been missing from Fresno, California since June of 1986. Her name is Teresa Ann, is it Beer, B-I-E-R? The suspect, since deceased, claimed that Bigfoot or Sasquatch took her. Is there any truth to this claim? No truth to the claim that Bigfoot took her. These shape-shifting extraterrestrials do not do that. But I feel they had the right person in custody, or whatever this was the right person, the right perpetrator of this crime. But it was no, Bigfoot did not take her. Unfortunately, this was a terrible act done by this individual, not Bigfoot. 12. Have dragons, unicorns, or Pegasus ever inhabited the earth? Not in a real sense, but it's all been interpreted that way. These are all interactions with various extraterrestrial groups. So this is not something, if you look at even at like in India, a lot of mythical characters that came up in India and folklore, a lot of them were interactions with extraterrestrial groups like fire gods in the sky, fire dragons in the sky. No, so these are like misinterpretations of humanity over centuries and thousands of years, even here, of their interaction with extraterrestrial groups. So these are mythical but related to ETs. 11. I recently watched an interview regarding the topic of how big tech has been targeting young male groups for several generations. It indicated big tech's goal was to maximize their screen time with dopamine addiction and directing them towards stripping them from all relationships and joy that comes from successful relationships. Is there any help you can see coming for these boys and men trapped in this cycle, since there are many millions of them that exist today? This is actually all part of the 3 decade reset, which goes 2020 to 2050. So this is not a short-term change here, but as we get through this 3 decade reset, this particular issue that this person is asking about, as humanity starts to understand critical thinking, what extraterrestrials have done over millions of years, new science, health-related health cures, a lot of that's going to shift everything. It'll shift what we know about religion, and this whole shift in society will actually change this as well. So it's almost like a huge critical mass event that occurs. I'm not saying just one event, but it rolls through this 3 decade period here. It's going to change everything in society as you know it, including this particular issue that this person is talking about. They'll be more focused on humanity. 10. Is Zoran Mandani connected to any controversial groups in the Middle East? I do see relationships with Middle East funding and things coming up around him. There's something going on around him with some offshore Middle East funding and groups supporting. Yeah, so I do see that connection with offshore groups. 9. Animals, especially birds and cats, are very drawn to me. And is there a reason for this? Crows in particular always approach me. You are an advanced soul. So all older souls, remember, animals can see the spiritual dimension. They can see auras. They can see your soul. So very common for older souls to have the Let's say the characteristic in life where a lot of animals are attracted to them, especially crows. Crows. Crows are messengers. It's very interesting. When you see a lot of crows around, they're messengers. There's something going on like around your lifetime. You see big flocks of crows. There's a message there. They're trying to get your attention, but that's the spiritual realm trying to get your attention as well. 8, Sterling, I'd like to know why nonverbal children and adults with autism sometimes hit their heads. I'm not a doctor, but this is like an act of trying to communicate something that can't be communicated. So it's like a frustration. It's a way to actually even communicate like physical pain. Not a doctor, but there's something here about it's a real interaction. I don't want to call it a cry for help, but it's a cry for like notification, like take notice is what I'm getting here. Okay. 7 in the countdown. Hello, Sterling. I live in the Pine Barrens area of southern New Jersey. The New Jersey drones report in late 2024 are still here, have never left. We see 20 or more of these aircraft every night. Some of these flash bright white lights, others are more drone-like. Occasionally, Air Force planes, Black Hawk helicopters come out, fly through the area when the crafts are out. Are these ET craft, and why do they seem so concentrated in this area of New Jersey? So this is a heavy rural area where a lot of experimentations going on. They're actually the majority of these craft are ET related. There's a portion that are military related, but there's some concern. There's actually some bases in this area. This rural area, there's a couple of ET bases. So people don't always understand that, and they're watching things going on here. The military is then like watching the ET craft. But there's some ET experiments going on in this area. Not to worry, but there's some ET bases in this area. So majority are ET UAP drones, and there's a portion of them that are military drones. 6, can an animal that is passed on communicate with a current pet or animal? Yes, all animals can communicate easily with the other side. They do it all the time, regardless of family member or former pet. They see the other side very clearly. 5, were dinosaurs the original inhabitants of Earth, and were they made extinct by ETs in preparation for our ancient human races? No, they were not the original inhabitants of Earth. As we talked about earlier in the show here, Octopus, for example, 330 million years ago. But there's many different species that inhabited Earth that were not human-like or Homo sapiens sapiens. So dinosaurs, no, they were not the original inhabitants of the Earth. You go back millions and millions of years ago, other types of species were also here on the planet. 4, are the paranormal cases of Ed and Lorraine Warren truly caused by demons and poltergeists? No demons, but they did experience a great deal of prankster spirits. And remember, prankster spirits will entertain you if you pull them forward, if you want to play with them. They'll play with you. Sometimes it could be hard play, meaning they'll scratch you, they'll throw a brick across the room. No demons. So there are no devils, there are no demons. There's low energetic spirits, there's prankster spirits. So they interact with a lot of prankster spirits. And I'm just getting that whatever they're involved in got a little bit out of control from a Hollywood perspective. So they may have had some incidents here, and then it kind of spun up into something that was much more imaginative or creative, kind of Hollywood based. So some of the interactions were real. I'm getting it kind of got on steroids. More of a Hollywood type flair to it that made it seem larger than life. And number 3, number 2, and number 1 in the countdown. I always take notes before I start these shows, so I'll read those back to you. Number 3, do your ET friends have anything they want to share? We are engaged fully in over 1,000 events that are currently taking place worldwide, helping to ensure the safety of humanity. Rest assured that even when things look like they are going off the rails for humanity, we have you covered. Number 2, what do you see coming up next week? New issues across the lumber industry driven by several industry factors. Additionally, wildlife concerns directly related to this lumber industry announcement and analysis. So something about wildlife and conservation and a lumber industry announcement coming up. New medications and breakthroughs for the control of grand mal seizures. New resignations for members of Congress. Important steps in resolving the Russia-Ukraine conflict finally coming to pass. New steps to regulate important drugs, ensuring that everyone will have access to basic medications. New steps to control the rates of poverty in the nation. New Middle East peace negotiations for several around the Middle East, including Israel, Gaza, and some important elements around Iran. World famous singer passes away this week unexpectedly. New important information releases on the exact cause of the UPS plane crash that surprises authorities related to maintenance procedures. Causes of the recent Hong Kong fire released to the media that will form the basis for new building codes worldwide. And number one in the countdown, do you have anything your guides want to share? Remember, everything we think, feel, touch, and imagine creates our own reality. Become more aware of the reality you are creating around you, and this will lead to a tremendous life. On that note, that concludes the show being recorded today on Saturday, the 29th of November, 2025, released to our YouTube platform on Sunday, November 30th, 2025. As always, if you want to join our Platinum group, get involved in live streams I do on Friday morning Pacific time zone, answer a plethora of your personal questions, and the membership gives you access to hundreds of videos in the archive. You can join our Platinum membership. There's a join button on the front page of our YouTube channel, Sterling Psychic Medium, as well as our website, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. On that note, I'm going to send out a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care, and I will see you all again very soon.